What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Unexpected Season 5, Episode 8. Damn, we got two kids now. What a unusual title. So, Emersyn and Mason. I want to start off with them because I think I owe Miss Erica, Emerson's mom, a tiny little iota of an apology because in my last review I really went in on Erica because she was really aggravating me, how she was constantly whining about how she really wanted to be there with Emersyn to help her, to coach her during the laboring process, but she had to stay home with her children. And I thought to myself, well, you have a husband who could watch the kids while you were while you could have been at the hospital with Emersyn. But and I understand that with COVID there was limitations on who can be in the labor and delivery room with mom. Obviously, she was going to have Mason there. And I thought the grandmother was there as well. At least up to a certain point, I thought the grandmother was there because I remember when Emersyn and Mason left the house to go to the hospital, the grandmother was with them. And I remember Emersyn saying that she was happy her grandmother was going to be with them because her grandmother has such a calming effect on her, unlike her mother who gets her kind of frazzled. And I also remember the grandmother was in the room with her, in the hospital room with her, because she was trying to use the tablet to FaceTime Emerson's mom, but she couldn't figure out how to turn on the sound. So Emerson's mom, Erica, couldn't hear the grandmother. So I distinctly remember the grandmother being there, and I didn't understand, like, if her mother wanted to be there so bad, why didn't they opt for her to be there instead of the grandmother? But one of my viewers told me that the grandmother was not there, or she was only there to a certain point. I'm not sure, but the grandmother wasn't there. So whether Erica had kids to take care of or not, she couldn't have been there. So if I was too hard on her, if I was too hard on you, Miss Erica, I'm sorry. But let's move on. So Emersyn and Mason. Mateo is now 1 day old, and Emersyn talks about the whole feeling of having a baby and being a new mom and all the emotions that are going through her. It seems like a very safe and healthy delivery. There were no complications with her, no complications with the baby. And Emersyn tells us that she has very mixed feelings about bringing the baby home because she knows that she's going to run into her mother's really strict rules about Mason not being allowed to sleep in the same room with Emersyn. And this is really, aggravating Emersyn. So they bring the baby home. The whole family's there. All the siblings are there. The grandparents are there. And her mother talks about that feeling like she fell in love with her grandson instantly, like she felt like he was like her own child. That's the kind of love that she felt for her little grandbaby. And there was a scene where I think Emersyn was dealing with the baby. She was changing his diaper or something, and Erica, she's like keeping her eye on everything, and she notices that Emersyn is the one changing the diaper. And where's Mason? Well, Mason's upstairs, knocked out because he was sleeping upstairs, tired as hell. And so Erica, makes a mental note of this. So Mason and Emersyn decide to sleep downstairs. I think it was like that first night. Emersyn didn't even sleep in her room. She just gave birth, and she didn't even sleep in her room because she did not agree with her mother not allowing Mason to sleep in the room with her. So I guess to kind of defy her mom and to keep her and Mason together, they slept on the couch. And I was like, how uncomfortable could that be for both of them? So they slept on the couch, and then there was a scene where Mason was already awake, and he was dealing with the baby, and I guess the baby was getting fussy, and Emersyn heard her baby crying, and so she automatically wakes up, and she's like, does he need me? And Mason says, yes, you need to change him and feed him. And I was like, Mason, hold up. What do you mean you need to change and feed him? Obviously, she's going to feed him because she's the only one that can do that right now. But why can't you change him? If you know he needs to be changed, like, why can't you go and change the baby and then give the baby to Emersyn for her to feed? I didn't understand that. I was like, Mason, yeah, we need to work on that. If the baby needs to be changed and you're holding him, go change the baby. So, Erica thinks that, no, what's his name? Mason, he doesn't agree with Erica's rules either. He thinks it's really crazy that they're not able to go sleep in the same room. And so they make the decision to go upstairs together and take the baby with them and go to sleep. And Emersyn says in her confessional that they're not even thinking about, having relations. They're not even thinking about that. She just had a baby. They're both extremely tired. It's a lot going on. They're trying to get accustomed to this brand new life. They're not even thinking about, hooking up or whatever, or having relations. They're not even thinking about that's the last thing on her mind because she's still healing from giving birth. And she thinks it's stupid that her mom would be so concerned about that at this time. And she's like, I need his help. I need his support. Even if he does nothing else, just the fact that he's there with me, but, her mom is unreasonable. So Mason says that Erica is only doing this, keeping them apart or not allowing them to sleep in the same room to kind of get back at Emersyn for getting pregnant and kind of like punishing her for getting pregnant. Like, if you're going to go off and get pregnant, then, your boyfriend's not going to come and sleep with you, even though y'all just had a baby. So I kind of agree with that. That kind of makes sense to me because I just don't understand, like, your daughter needs the help. Like, why can't you let your daughter have the help? But then at the same time, she complains that Mason is not stepping up to the plate, that he's not doing enough to help Emersyn, and that she thinks that Emersyn is not putting enough pressure on Mason, to make him change diapers and do whatever else with the baby. But when Emersyn says, he would help me, if he was in the room with me and I'm upstairs, he's going to be there to help me. Erica doesn't want to hear it. So I think Erica's extremely unreasonable. I don't see it for Erica. I think she's very, very controlling. I think that she is, I don't know. She's trying to put this, trying to be like this, dictator with Emersyn when she should have been a dictator way before, but the baby's here. Let's just deal with what's going on now. And I'm going to need Erica to loosen up a little bit and let these parents be parents. Moving on to Tierra and Dee. So it is the day of the C-section. Now, Dee, as they're getting ready to go to the hospital and they're packing up everything, Dee wants to take his PlayStation console with him to the hospital. And it's like, okay, tell me that you're addicted to video games without telling me that you're addicted to video games, because you would think that if there was ever a time for him to not be worried about gaming, it would be when your child is being born. Now, I understand that there's going to be, moments where there's nothing going on at the hospital, waiting for labor to kick in or waiting for whatever to happen. But, you can talk to your fiance, you can keep her company while she's going through whatever she's going through in preparation of giving birth to your child. You can watch TV with her and have a conversation with her. Like, how come when there's a lull in activities, it's like you have to be somehow entertained with some type of a electronic. And I didn't see the PlayStation in the hospital room, so I'm hoping he didn't take it and he thought better of it. Like, you're gonna connect your console to this hospital television. Like, how are you even gonna get up there to do it was so stupid to me. So then her mother is there, Mimi, to watch Ella while they are away in the hospital, and Mimi is also going to be staying a couple of weeks to help them with the new baby. Now, there was a scene, I think it was in the confessional. It was Tierra, her mom, and Ella was sitting in between them, and one of them was asking Ella, whose baby are you? Whose baby are you? And she says, I'm Mimi's baby. Not even Mama's baby. She said, I'm Mimi's baby. That just shows you, what a great grandmother she is and how much time she spends with her grandchildren. So Tiara was very nervous because Dee was not much support for her when she had Ella. And so she's like, you know what, she's worried that he's not going to be that great of a support now. She says that when she had Ella, he was on the phone the whole entire time. Like, how can you be on the phone when your girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever, is having a baby? Like, how does that happen? How can you completely tune that out to concentrate on your electronic device? I don't understand how they do that. So her mother was there for her before, but now because of protocol of COVID and all of that, only Dee's going to be there, and she thinks he's probably going to be completely useless. So when they're doing their confessionals, I notice that, and I've always noticed this about this show, that when they're doing the confessionals, because the confessionals are recorded way after they're done taping, and it's just like, for them to kind of like talk about what had already happened, they have these fake pregnant bellies to make us think, I guess, that they're talking about whatever's happening in real time, when actuality it's like months after they're done recording and all the babies have been born. And it's just strange to me to watch Tierra sitting in her confessional with her fake belly, and she's talking about how they went to the hospital for her C-section, talking about the moment when she gave birth, which has already happened, but she's sitting there with this belly as she's talking about the day she gave birth. It's just strange to me. I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, if anything, just record them from the chest up. If you don't want us to notice that they're not pregnant anymore, and you want us to believe that they're talking about stuff in real time, just record them from the chest up. The fake belly thing is just, to me, it's like unnecessary. So uh, Tiara is freaking out in the car as they're driving to the hospital. She's freaking out. She's crying. She's not freaking out. She's crying because she's very stressed out about the fact that her mom was not going to be there. And she's only going to have, this useless guy. And she's crying real tears. And I'm surprised that Dee didn't try to console her, didn't try to, pat her on the shoulder, tell her it's going to be okay. I'm there for you. Don't worry. I'll do my best to support you. It was none of that. He was just just driving, paying her absolutely no mind as she's having this breakdown. Like, what is wrong with these dads? I want to say this season, but I can think of a couple that were really bad last seasons prior, but I don't know if they were this bad as the dads that we saw in season 5. Anyway, so they're in the hospital now. She's in the hospital bed. She's hooked up to all the machines. They're waiting for the C-section to happen. She's extremely nervous, but she's also very hungry. And so she mentions to Dee, I'm really hungry, but she can't eat because she's about to go, have an operation. And Dee says, no, he says, I'm really hungry. I think he said it first. He says, I'm really hungry. I haven't eaten since, the night before. And she says, I'm hungry too. And then Dee says, well, it's different for you because you're hooked up to fluids. Okay, but she's hooked up to fluids. She's getting fluids intravenously. Not Fluids are not being pumped into her belly. They're being pumped through her veins. So like, why can't she feel hungry? So that to me made no sense. And like, why are you comparing yourself to your fiance who's about to give birth to your child, who's about to go into major surgery so that your daughter can be delivered into this world? Why are you comparing your hunger to hers? Why are you doing that, Dee? What is going on? And you know what? I thought that Dee would have been a little bit more mature because he's in the military. And I'm thinking that being in the military has helped him grow up a lot. And he wasn't going to be, like these other, teen dads. But he's proven himself to be just as bad. Not worse. Definitely not worse. But just as bad because he has a job. They live alone. He's taking care of business. He's paying bills, providing for his family. But there are things that he says that are a little bit problematic for me. So her iron is still low, so she's very worried about that because there's that possibility of her possibly bleeding out, or the baby losing oxygen or something. So she's worried about that, but she does have a very healthy delivery. Baby Ensley is born at 7 pounds, healthy as can be, beautiful as can be, a really cute baby, and so all is right in the world of Tierra. Moving on to Jenna and Aden. So Jenna's dad has invited them to dinner, and there was kind of like, a wait and see game as far as whether or not Aden was going to accompany her to her dad's house. Well, evidently he did show up with her. They did arrive together. So the dad says that he can tell that there is some friction between Jenna and Aden. He can't quite figure out what it is, but he can definitely tell that there's issues there. As they're getting into the car to go to her dad's house, they got into a little tiff. I think he asked her, so what's for dinner? And she's like, I don't know. How would I know what's for dinner? A few minutes later, he asked her again, so what's for dinner? And she's like, okay, from the last time you asked me, did you see me pick up the phone and ask him what's for dinner? No, I don't know what's for dinner, or whatever she said. So, like, they fight over every little thing. This is really, like, so stressful of a life for people who are so young, to fight over every little thing. It's not worth fighting over. It was just bizarre to me. So the dad says, she's no Jenna tells us that her relationship with her father has definitely improved. It's not where it could be, but it's definitely gotten better, and her dad are really okay now. The dad in his confessional says that when they were living together with Aden and Jenna, he took it for granted that they were going to live with him forever. So he probably was not on his best behavior, and he did and said things that he now truly regrets that caused her to move out. So he understands the error of his ways, and so he said that when Jenna comes over, he's going to be on his best behavior. He's not going to say anything to upset her because, he doesn't want to repeat the mistakes of the past and then run the risk of her walking out of his life again. So they come over for dinner. And okay, so then the dad says that, they're going through a lot, and it's a lot for them because they're so young. They have this huge responsibility of living independently, raising a child. He's working all day, she's at home all day. So the stress levels for these two people is probably extremely, extremely high. It's almost as if they're living separate lives and they only come together to deal with their baby. And so, even though they're living in the same home. So the dad says that, Aiden takes a lot of pride in being the provider, but he also needs to respect and show grace to Jenna for being the stay at home mom and maintaining the home, being there for the baby, because of the fact that she's doing all of this and she's sacrificing, her goals and her dreams. He needs to appreciate that more and, truly take into account all that she's doing for their family. Just as much as he's providing financially, she's also providing a lot for the benefit of the child, for the benefit of him, to keep this family going. She's putting in just as much work as he is, if not more. So the father acknowledges this. So they come over, they have dinner, and after dinner, they're talking, and Jenna says that she wants to be a doula. And her plan is to be a doula, make money, and then to eventually leave Aiden and start a new life with her and her son. And so, but she doesn't tell anybody this. This is like her little secret plan. But she announces to her parents that she wants to be a doula. And so Aiden is like, he doesn't care for that at all. He doesn't see it. He doesn't see it for her being a doula. Aiden is young, but he has the mentality and the beliefs of, I don't know what. He does not want her to work. He wants her to stay home, take care of the kids. He wants to be the only one to provide. He doesn't understand. He can't even fathom why she would want to do anything productive for herself, why she would want to make money for herself. I don't understand, like, how, because as it's just strange to me. A person, I can't say too much because I don't want to offend a whole bunch of people, but I guess I just curious as to, like, why a young person growing up in modern times who you would think would understand the benefits of allowing a woman to choose what she wants to do with her life. This is the society that he has grown up in, where he sees women working, obtaining careers, education. He sees women who can do it all, who can be career women, who can be mothers. He sees this. He's grown up in this type of world. Unlike, people of yesteryears who never saw that, who didn't understand that a woman can go to work and also, be a caretaker, who only saw women as, being the caretaker. He's seen this. So, like, why can't you allow her to have that choice? And if she chooses to be a stay-at-home mom, if that's what she believes, wonderful. But if she wants to do something on the outside, why can't Aiden, it's this 18, 19-year-old kid, understand that this is what we do now? Because to him, it was like he didn't he was like, it was almost like he was like, where would you get that idea from that you can go to work? Like, he's living in a time warp. Like, to him, it was just like, why would you want to do that? Why do you want to go to work and make money? It was just, the idea was so foreign to him. Why? When you see women doing that. But anyways, yeah, he doesn't want her to go to work. And so I don't know how that's gonna work out for them. And he says, her wanting to be a doula is stupid as hell. He didn't just say it was stupid. He said it was stupid as hell. The fact that she wants to be a doula. He says that the people who hire doulas are rich people and hippies. Completely okay. Fine. You don't get it. I'll give you that. You're an 18-year-old boy. You don't understand the benefits of a doula. Fine. But do you understand the benefit of allowing your partner to make choices for herself that will still benefit the whole family? Okay, I'm tired of talking about him. So, what I want to know is I do have one more thing to say about him, though. What I want to know is Aden seems very tense, very uptight, very rigid, and he barely like cracks a smile when he talks. Like he barely even opens his mouth. Like he mumbles, and I know that's just the way he talks. I'm not making fun of the kid. I'm just like trying to talk about how uptight he is to the point where like his mouth barely opens when he speaks. And obviously he's someone that bottles in a lot of emotion and a lot of thoughts. He keeps to himself and he doesn't express himself a lot. And he's very tense. So, and he's, I guess you could even say controlling because he doesn't want her to work. So my question is, what would he do if Jenna was able to get her own apartment and take her son with her and move out? What would he do? It's kind of scary to even think about what Aden would do if Jenna did that, because not scary for her, it's scary for me. Like I'm literally petrified thinking about what Aden would do if Jenna decided to leave, because he's got like these very crazy outdated ideas of the roles that women play. So if she got a job, got her own apartment, took her child with her, what would he do? Would he just be like, okay, fine, see you later? Or would he like take her to court, try to get custody of the child? I mean, like, what would he do if Jenna decided to actually leave him with her son? I don't think he would let her take the child. I think he would fight her on custody, tooth and nail, to make sure that she didn't take the child. Moving on to Kylen and Jason. So Kylen wakes up in the middle of the night with labor pains. She is in active labor. 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. She's in pain. So the part that we start seeing is when they're getting ready to leave to go to the midwife. Homegirl Kylen is already at the car waiting. Okay, the one who's in labor, the one who's in excruciating pain, she's waiting for her clown boyfriend to get ready so he can take her to the midwife. So he's just in his room taking his sweet time. I mean, he made time to make himself a nice coffee. I don't know when, I don't know if it was already made. I don't know the logistics of how this cup of iced coffee ended up in his hand. But what I'm seeing is he's taking his time. He has iced coffee in his hand. Either he took the time to go pour it in and it was already made, or he took the time to go make it. Either way, he's got his little iced coffee. He's wandering around in the room as if he's getting ready to go to school. As if like your girlfriend isn't about to like be split in two, waiting for you to take her to the midwife while she's about to have this child. So the father is like trying to, put the fire under him. Like, hey, you got to go. She's in pain. She's in labor. You got to go. You got to go. He actually snaps at his own father for rushing him. He's cussing out his father. He's mad at his dad. And I'm like, why do you want to start off like this during the time when your son is about to come into this world? You want your son born into this stress? So in his confessional, Jason says, I just woke up and I wanted to sleep a little longer. While your girlfriend is dying in pain, you wanted to you wanted to hit that snooze button a couple of more times while she's dying in pain. He downplays what she's going through. He tries to act like, you're not really in labor. This is like, I don't know what he said, false contractions. He was like, it's going to be all before the baby comes, just basically like telling her, chill out. You're not really in labor. Just relax. So he downplays the pain that she's in, the contractions that she's having, and he kind of just dismisses it as her overreacting. And while he's taking the time, I guess, he's so they're in the car now, and now he's taking the time to plug in the charger to his phone. Why can't you do all of this at the same time as you're backing out? But anyways, so he's taking the time to plug in the charger, and she's like literally shaking because she's in so much pain. So, Jason, look, you're way too funny looking to be this much of a jerk at this time while Kylen is like in the worst pain that she's ever been in. You're too funny looking to be acting like this. You need to get your. Anyways, let's move on. So, Jason says in his confessional that he's really looking forward to meeting his son, spending time with his son. He says something like, Xavier's been with his mom in her belly for 9 months, so I'm going to be with him for the next 9 months, and she's not going to be able to touch him or hold him or do anything because he's going to be with me. And then he says, I'm just kidding. So he has these moments, even though it was kind of morbid what he said, I'm going to not allow the mother to have anything to do with our child because and I know he was just joking, but it was a morbid joke. So even though he has like sometimes you'll see these glimpses of him where he seems kind of caring, where he seems a little bit, sensitive. And I'm just hoping that when the child is born, we'll see more of that in him, because when he talks about his child, he gets a little bit sensitive, he gets a little bit tender. So I'm thinking that when the baby's born, maybe there's hope that this is going to change him for the better. That little boy is going to melt Jason's heart. But I hope he doesn't transfer his obsessiveness of Kylen. I hope he doesn't transfer that obsessiveness to the baby, where he basically kicks Kylen to the curb and tries to keep the baby for him and his family, and tries to fight for custody or whatever, because he's got this thing of being very possessive and very controlling and very obsessed with something or with someone. So hopefully that's not going to happen, and we'll see like a gentler side of Jason once Xavier is born. So they're on the way to the midwife, and Kylen is in horrible pain. And they did talk to the midwife, and they told the midwife that Jason told the midwife, she's having contractions. So the midwife is getting more information on how far apart, how far are they lasting, and the midwife basically is like, yeah, she's in labor. Let's come on over. Let's do this. Let's have a baby today. While remember, Jason was completely downplaying what she was going through and saying that she wasn't in labor. So as they're driving to the midwife, Kylen is in horrible pain, and Jason is yawning. This is all boring him, and he's complaining of being tired. And he says, I'm so tired. Why did you have to pick this day? If I was Kylen, the anger that I would have felt would have overrode the pain of the contractions, and I would have wrestled him out of the car and driven myself to the midwife and left him there on the side of the road to fend for himself. He said that to her. Why did you pick? Why did you have to pick as opposed to what other day? What else do you have going on? You don't work. You don't go to school. So what is it about this day that would be different from any other day? There's nothing going on in your lives. He said that to her. He said that to her. Uh, yeah, because she's in control of that. She looked at her planner, at her calendar, and evil Kylen picked this day, you know, to piss off Jason. Then he tells her, just breathe. And he said it very like he was just so exasperated with her and all of her damn pain, all of her damn contractions. He was like, fed up with it. He was like, just breathe. Like, come on, just breathe. As if she's not doing that. Like, what a way to coach her, by, yeah, just breathe. He didn't pat her. He didn't hold her hand. He didn't rub. There was no physical contact, no physical touch between, he wasn't trying to comfort her. He wasn't trying to soothe her. He wasn't giving her words of encouragement, nothing, nada. And Kylen, you decided to hitch your wagon to this dimly lit star. This is the guy that you chose to be the father of your child. You wanted to be stuck with this guy for the rest of your life. In the confessional, she says that the birth plan is for them to not use any type of medication, no epidural, no nothing. They want to have a completely unmedicated birth because he believes that, any type of medicine or whatever will go straight into the baby's system. And he says that he knows a lot of people in his family who did drugs with babies, and it's not a good vibe. Okay, so they're talking about having an unmedicated birth, and then right after that, he talks about people in his family who did drugs. Like, what are you talking about? Did drugs? Are you talking about they did drugs as in they took medication when they were in labor, like epidurals and stuff, and pitocin? Is that what do you mean? Are you talking about illegal drugs? Because he's one minute he's talking about we're having an unmedicated birth, and in the same breath he says, "Yeah, because I know a lot of people in my family who did drugs." What drugs are you talking about? So he knows a lot about obstetrics and gynecology. I mean, I thought he was just, a useless bum of a teenager, but evidently this is, Dr. Jason, and he has a specialty in obstetrics and gynecology because he's the one that knows what Kylen needs to do. He's going to be the one to give her the medical advice on what she should do with her body as she's giving birth to her child. This is sick. So normally I would tell females like Kylen, good luck with all that, girl. Good luck. But in this situation, she needs more than luck. She needs like legit prayer. We need to like start a prayer circle for her. Send her prayer cloths, send her vials of holy water. Hold hands in front of her house and sing hymns or whatever, because if she hasn't left him already, Jesus needs to intervene to get this girl away from this guy, because there are four adults, her parents and his parents, and none of these four adults can put their four brains together to find a way to get Kylen away from Jason. Her parents, just the mere fact that he keeps her from them should be enough for them to try to do some type of intervention and get their daughter back. I don't care if she's kicking and screaming. I think she's still a minor, so she really has no choice in where she can live. His parents, because they live with them, I know they see firsthand how he treats her, and they just let it happen. They let this guy run amok. He is controlling not only Kylen's life, he is controlling the adults' lives, because we're all living in Jason's world, and Jason's going to be the one to decide how we all move in this. And when the baby's born, if he's not going to change for the better, if this baby does not melt his heart, when the baby's born, he's going to be that controlling even more over the baby. Kylen will have absolutely zero say so in the raising of her child if she stays with this guy. He's probably, whatever, like if he's the kind of guy that believes in the cry it out method, she's going to have to sit there and listen to her baby cry it out. She's not going to have any choice. If he's the kind of guy who's like, no pacifiers, or you can only breastfeed. What if he tells her that? What if he tells her he can only breastfeed? You can't bottle feed, even if she doesn't want to. Or if he tells her no breastfeeding, the baby's going to be bottle fed. She's not going to have any say so in the raising or the decision makings of her own kid, because this guy, and I know for a fact that he's not going to let her override him. It's going to be his way or no way. And I don't understand how Kylen doesn't see this. I don't understand how Kylen enjoys this. Like, are you so desperate to have a man, Kylen, that you're okay with this guy killing your soul and it probably interfering with your relationship with your son? I'm clueless. I'm absolutely clueless. I don't get it. Like I said, we need to start a prayer line, a prayer circle, or something, because she needs more than luck, and she needs more than these four adults. She needs the intervention of Jesus, the universe, Allah, Buddha. All of these people need to come in and do whatever they can do to get Kylen away from Jason, if she's not already away from him. Like I said, I don't go into the internet to figure out where are they now kind of thing. I don't do that. I just want to see things play out as, as they're showing it to us. Uh, I hope that in real life, in real time, that she's left them, that she's completely left them. I hope so. Anyways, that's my review. I'm rambling. Thank you so much for joining me. Please don't forget on your way out to rate this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked this content. If you didn't like it, don't worry about it. But thanks for stopping by anyway. And I would definitely, most definitely, I promise you, I will talk to you later. Bye.